God bless him.
Look at that. Back to macros working as macros should. We are here.
Like yours is longer than mine.
Can we a little louder for the people in the back? Here we are. I want to give a shout out to our listeners.
Oh.
I think I've gotten the most feedback I think ever on any episode in the entire planet we've done, and we're up to like 850 episodes about cars.
Yeah, which is really weird because this is not a car podcast.
Yep. Oh, it is. We're changing the name to V8 Daily.
Nice. Okay.
Anyway, so I appreciate that.
Your nod to the muscle car past.
Yeah. There aren't too many V8s these days anymore.
No, and that's one of those things. It's a V8 engine, or one of those big block engines is kind of like the old version of the megahertz wars. Like just keep ratcheting up the speed, and it's always going to be faster, right? It's like, nope. As it turns out, smaller, lighter, more efficient. It wins the race.
Yep, just keep putting turbos on the four bangers, and they will eventually get up to really, really high horsepower, and that's kind of
that's a reality of the auto industry history.
Yep. So, anyways, I don't know when I'm buying a car, but we'll see.
You probably won't have a V8.
No, definitely will. I mean, even the Volvo I was looking at, they offer a four-cylinder turbo, and a four-cylinder turbo supercharged engine. Like that's
I was curious where you're going because I'm like, there's no way Volvo. I mean, they could have a six-cylinder, but I doubt it. Volvo they've had five cylinders arranged in a very unique configuration. Mm-hmm. 8-cylinder. I don't think Volvo's ever had an 8-cylinder unless you're looking at like a truck or something. But anyway, yeah.
Anyways, so we are back. There was something I was going to tell you. Now I just totally whiffed on it. But anyways, you've bravely put on a first beta of iOS 14.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna. And then yesterday, no, I really wasn't. I was gonna wait for the public beta. Why bother? And yesterday I rewatched the WWDC keynote out of order. In YouTube and actually on the Apple site as well, they have like chapter markers now. So I went back to the Mac part and I rewatched that, specifically the Mac on ARM part. And I got to say, again, there's a lot of fog of war stuff, blah, blah, blah. We talk about this. I'm more impressed with what they're doing now that I've had a chance to really digest it and hear it again. Yeah. Because you kind of forget it's blown by. It's like I was taking notes.
Absorb 100%, which is hard to do.
Yeah. So they're even more positive about this transition than I had originally retained. So that was interesting. But while I was there, I thought, well, I'll go back and maybe watch some other parts of this. What other parts of this do I care about? And I did watch the Mac part with the new UX. And I got to tell you, I'll write something about this. As Windows or Microsoft fans, we need to be collectively embarrassed for this company and this product. Apple is going to release this completely consistent UX and just get it right the first time. Like, we are still struggling with the ghost of Windows past. You can find Windows 95 icons in there. Mm-hmm. You can find, I talked about it's just the unbelievably crappy dark mode stuff where half of the interface is white. You talked about the multiple menu styles, which would be hilarious if it wasn't so pathetic.
How many settings panels do we have, Paul?
Yeah. So, by the way, how many types of setting panels maybe is the way to ask that, because the setting interface, of course, and control panel. And I know there's a group of people who are really upset that both of those exist. But you're forgetting about a whole new other class of settings panels, including the MMC, right? The Microsoft Management Console. So if you bring up things like, I have to look at it, like device manager, disk management, computer management, those are all, whatever. Anyway, it's a inconsistent hell stew, and it's frustrating. But to your point, I also watched iOS, and then I realized I got to try this. I got to see if this solves the problems I have with the iOS interface. Also, if this is an effective modern replacement for the live tiles thing that so many people seem to be pining for, right? So I will say, Brad, because you use an iPhone, that Apple has for a long time had that, I don't know what they call it, but it's like a feed off of the homepage, which I ignore mostly.
I'm Same camp.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah, I think most people do. So, but those things, the items that are in there are called widgets, and they work a lot like the widgets, whatever they're called in Android, that actually can go on the home screen. So the change here is that Apple has brought those things to the home screen, which is huge, and you can lay out icons around them, which is big. But like live tiles in Windows 8 or Windows Phone or whatever, Windows 10, they're all available in various sizes, right? So I think it's 3 sizes pretty much. And that very much approximates live tiles. Now, of course, it's the first developer beta, so the only the only widgets that are available are first-party widgets in those sizes. But that's going to come. I mean, Apple
Sure. I mean,
Apple,
you can't expect Twitter to have a widget, and they haven't had the opportunity to build it yet.
Yeah, exactly. So they will, no doubt about it. And, one of the things I've talked about a lot with iOS is that, the icons are all stuck up at the top, except for the dock, which is stuck at the bottom, whatever. But you want the icon. I want the icons at least at the bottom because it's a usability thing. You can reach them one-handed. So now you can stick like a gigantic half-screen widget up there on the first home screen, and it does force those icons to the bottom. And yeah, it's not as elegant as Android because you can just have empty space there, but it does the job. I mean, you can look at the pictures of it on the article, but I'm happy with that. The other thing is I kind of made fun of this when they announced it, but you can hide icons. Now, they don't call it hide in the UI, which is classic Apple, but what this really is, combined with App Library, is a way to approximate the all app screen in Android, which is the home screen becomes a place for maybe you have 1 or 2 pages. You only have your most frequently accessed apps there. But then you have this other place where you can go to get all of your apps. And that's how I use Windows. All the apps I use the most are in the taskbar, the rest are in the start menu. Everyone does things differently. I get it. But with this thing, what you can do is hide icons from the home screens. They stay in App Library. App Library is the rightmost home screen now. So when you go over there, it's all apps. Now, they're arranged in stupid folders and all that, but they're all there. And you can search, of course. But it's, these two things, these two major changes together approximate what I have been asking for, at least. And I think a lot of other people have been as well. They're not, neither one is, it's Apple. They have to do things so weird, but they do allow you, in me anyway, to get basically where I wanted with it. So to me, that's a big deal.
Yeah. So this is an interesting one because I probably am not going to install iOS 14 on this phone.
Okay. Ever?
Well, yeah, probably. Well, we'll see.
Interesting.
The reason being, I did this last time with this phone, is I'm more than likely going to be buying the new iPhone this fall. And so I'd like to get new phone, new OS, get that full.
Oh, well, okay.
Yeah.
I get it. Yeah. It's likely possible that there will be features in iOS 14 that, if not specific to whatever the new iPhones are, will be better on those phones or something too. So, I mean, I think there's 2 layers to the one stuff. Thing I was going to avoid it too, but I don't know. I think it looks nice, by the way.
One thing I like that they did do with the widgets is that, I don't know what they're called. They might be called collections, something or whatever, but you can have multiple widgets kind of like stacked.
Yeah, so in one widget. Yeah, so it's like a multi-widget widget.
Yeah.
Now, I have not looked at that yet. The way they described it, it seemed as if it could almost be automatic. Like in the morning, it would show weather, and then in the mid-morning, it would show your schedule, and at night, it would show like a music app or whatever it was.
Yep.
I'm not sure if I would want that, but you could, of course, kind of flick through the views anyway, and that's a nice thing because otherwise you'd have like 3 huge or 5 huge widgets. Now you can have one and kind of cycle through it. So I'll look at that. Actually, I didn't look at that. But that's that's another interesting capability.
The one I'm waiting for, or the one that I will most likely use, would be show the weather, and then you flick it, and then it shows the radar. That's like, to me, like the ideal scenario.
Yeah, so that's probably going to be something a third party will do.
For sure.
Actually, until I look at it. I don't know. I put a widget on the second homepage just to do one. I just put maps just to. It's, what I'm looking for is a blank widget, right, or a transparent widget. If you click it or whatever, it just brings up the app, and if you swipe on it, it swipes as if you're swiping the screen. So the Apple widget is just it's I mean, it's very reminiscent of the weather live tile in Windows 10. It's the only thing it's literally, actually, if you consider that this is an icon as well, there are literally 4 sizes now to access weather. And that is what we have in Windows 10. It basically is the same thing, where the smallest size is just an icon with no live information, and then the widget is the other three sizes. Also, by the way, not to get completely off track, if you have a weather widget on your homepage like I do, there's no reason to have a weather icon on your homepage somewhere else.
Right.
You can hide it. Right. There's another reason why you might want to hide things.
Yeah. Yeah. I only use one screen on my phone. And so I'm actually looking forward to this. I have one screen and everything else is just literally just dumped in a folder. And then I just use search if I need it.
Okay. So, then you're going to love this.
Yeah. That's a big win for me.
Let me ask you a question. I can only get 4 icons across left to right on my home screen, and I want 5. Is that a thing? Am I doing something? No. So if it's literally locked to 4.
At least I don't think the larger phones will do it, but mine is only 4.
I have the largest phone. I don't understand why. Well, that I could start off a sentence about anything I say about Apple with, I don't understand why. Because I literally don't understand why. Okay.
Because they haven't blessed you with it. I don't know about the larger ones, but I know on mine for a fact you cannot get 5 across. So
I don't see any way to do it. So I don't know. I mean, I shrunk everything down like text, and I put the zoom off. I did, I looked in settings.
No, you'll have to wait till iOS 15 for them to bless you with 5 icons across or something.
It's 22. Yeah, and then I'll get a standing ovation from those goons that show up. Anyway, sorry.
The other thing, too, that was buried yesterday, I don't think I mentioned this, Watch OS 7 is getting rid of Force Touch, which they got rid of on their phones. Not a big surprise. Now it's going away from the watch. So
this is just going to be, what that means, though, is this is just, they're still going to have like a hard press.
It'll just be a long press or whatever it is. Yeah.
Right. By the way, the other thing that was kind of hidden in all this, although I suspected this and said as much, Boot Camp is not going to be available in the new Mac OS. So they are literally getting rid of that. And no surprise. I know, because some people are like, well, I want to do this, I want to do that. It's like, why you would dual boot a Mac to run Windows 10 on ARM is kind of beyond me. But the bigger point, who cares what I think about it? The bigger point is that the world has moved on. When Mac OS 10 first came out, compatibility with other operating systems was a huge problem because no one was writing Mac apps. Today, there are tons of Mac apps, but more important, there are tons of web apps, and now they have iOS and Android, iPad apps. The app problem is solved. They don't need this. And it made them look weak, honestly, having such a thing. Plus, not to mention the incredible fiction of, well, Brad, the best way to run Windows is on a Mac. No, that, by the way, that was never true. Never. That's ludicrous. But anyway, it's gone. So if you want to run Windows apps on the Mac, you can use virtualization, and you could use remote desktop solutions like Windows Desktop. What do you call it? What is it called? Windows Desktop Virtual. What's it called?
Windows Virtual Desktop.
Yes, thank you. I got to get the words in the right order. Windows Virtual Desktop. Thank you.
Yep. And then this also marks the end of the Hackintosh too. So.
Oh yeah, that's right.
You'll have a couple more years of being able to get that, and then eventually they'll stop making the Intel version, and that'll be the last.
Well, the apps won't run, so who cares? You can run like an ancient version of Mac OS on a Windows PC. Good, congratulations.
Yep. The only reason I would do that though is if they could find a way to rip out iMessage and get iMessage on my PC. I would then think about trying to figure out a way to. But
I keep expecting, even during that presentation, I thought, my God, they're going to announce this is on Android at least. They're going to, I know there's a fine line between giving people enough to get them into your ecosystem and giving them too much so they don't have to come all the way in. But, they did Apple Music. Mm-hmm. I still think Safari makes sense as a cross-platform thing. And Messages, or iMessage, whatever you want to call it these days, is... I don't understand, because it literally creates a world in which there are two kinds of users. Even as an iOS user, no, I know, but that's got to be aggravating. There are things you can do with other, with iPhone using people that you can't. I mean, it's
become one of those people.
There were words for these kinds of situations, Brad. They're not pretty words.
No, they're not. Yeah. Oh, great! My daughter found a harmonica. I just heard her play it. My wife is on a call. I'm obviously doing a podcast, and I just heard a high C from
about parenting. That the title of one chapter has to be "Great, My Daughter Found a Harmonica." That's amazing.
I'm dealing with that all day. Windows Defender advanced threat protection is now available on Android in preview if you're paying for that. And
I thank you. I was going to say the one thing I didn't really put in there, I only implied it, was that you have to go through an amazing series of payments before you get to this point. Let me tell you, because it's not just I showed up with Microsoft 365 or something. No.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not for everybody.
Yeah, no, it's just for those people, the people that don't use iMessage and pay for Microsoft 365 and whatever.
Yeah, actually, I should say too. Even I thought this. I'm looking at the site, and like the last couple of days has been just a shit ton of Apple stuff, and I feel the pain for those people who are.
Yeah, but you can't though, because that's
I know.
If you didn't, like if you just said how WWDC didn't happen, like then you can't ignore that.
I know, and I also feel a certain responsibility to communicating what's happening on the other side, good, bad, or indifferent, because I haven't written this part of it yet, but I mean seriously, I know there are people who look at what's happening to Mac OS and think, I don't like that this thing is it's not getting dumbed down, which by the way it's not. It's getting prettier, and it's always been consistent, but now it's consistent with their mobile stuff, and not in a stupid way, like there's rows of icons on the screen or something like that. Although, by the way, Apple did do that. This interface is beautiful. Like, it's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And Microsoft has been talking about Fluent for 3 years, 4 years, whatever the hell it's been, and they've been here's a little bit over here. And they're just like, here it is. They just did it.
Yeah.
And sorry, but I've always thought that the way Microsoft was doing this was wrong. Oh, and here's your example of why. Because they just do it right.
Yeah.
Or like dark mode, which they did a couple years ago. Same thing. Like, they do it great.
I keep meaning to write this up, but time keeps eluding me. I need to write up. I know you use some of these apps, but like the collection of apps that you can now use, free and third party, that effectively can modernize, at least make the OS Windows 10 look a lot newer, right? Using things like Taskbar X and some of the Brad Wardell stuff and Power Toys. And
so there is the issue with that, of course, is that it's still Windows. So Windows is this creaking legacy thing with all kinds of different code bases, and I will say, unfortunately, and you never know what it is, but when you use some combination of these things, you'll find over time it's like, oh, things aren't
right. Things do break
as reliable. Things, and one thing I like right now, I just have a vanilla kind of Windows 10 thing going on. I really, really want those icons in the middle. Like I miss that when it's not there. And again, to people who complain like, oh, muscle memory, whatever. Yeah, you don't have it. My point is, make it an option. I don't know. There's so much wrong with Windows, dude. It's hard not to be a raving person about it every single day. Because if you really think about it, think about like synchronization of settings in Windows 10. And don't because you'll hurt yourself thinking about it. You have no idea what you're syncing. It's some bizarre tiny subset of the settings. You don't have any fine-grained control over what it is. You have no way to see what it is, except at a very high level. And then you reinstall Windows. You reinstall Office, same problem. I just did this on a computer upstairs yesterday. You go through the interface, like, oh, yeah, turn this thing. I don't want why doesn't it remember it's 2020?
Yeah.
This
used to.
This is a black hole of problems,
Didn't Windows 8 synced a lot of this stuff, and then they
stank a lot of this stuff.
Synced, stank, whatever.
Synced. I don't know.
Battleshipped, whatever. There's something else I was going to tell you now. I can't even remember. Oh, well, the good thing is, Paul, they sunk a lot of time. Stank, Battleshipped, into key features like My People, Timeline, Paint 3D, all hallmark features that are getting a lot of stage presence these days. So
all I wanted was a dinosaur to chase a kid across a soccer field, kick a ball into the net with fire after it.
Yeah, what happened to that? Like, is it even there? They did the smart thing and buried that functionality deep inside a Photos app that nobody will ever find. But
look, it's really if you care too much about the stuff, you just get depressed. I mean, the Mixer thing this week is a great example. I feel like we as Microsoft people or whatever, Microsoft fans, I don't know, we go through this. It's like a regular morning process. You wake up every day a little twitchy, like I wonder what they're going to kill today. And it doesn't help, by the way, because people say this, well, Google, kill stuff too. Yeah, I don't care about Google. I don't care. I use Windows every day. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's frustrating.
Hopefully they'll with our buddy Ralph now leading design, at least according to LinkedIn, maybe we'll get some traction in the next 3 years.
Yeah,
or something.
and right, and we're going to hold on to whatever piece of the Titanic is still floating while Leonardo DiCaprio goes floating away into the ether. But like
Apple's the whatever Rose or whatever name is on the door.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
Leo,
exactly. It's
Windows
your
is
MacBook and just starts answering email while we drowned in the icy cold water. Yeah, maybe, but I don't know. And like I told you, I have a friend who told me this is the time to be excited, and we'll see. But
you've heard that before, though.
Yeah, I'm a little jaded. You get smacked in the face enough times, you start, you get twitchy. You don't just believe. I don't know. We'll see.
Much like that harmonica.
Oh man, I'm so glad I don't hear that.